Okay, welcome to round one of our one Grixis ever. And we are on the play. We have a Daze, Sword Size, and a Murktide. I think it's decent to keep in the blind. And here we have the decision whether we want to use our fetch land or just play the Underground Sea. And I'm going here to fetch because we want to play our sword size and are able to apply our clock in form of Murktide Regent as soon as possible and see what our opponent is playing here. And we see bad news. He is playing lands with a red splash approach. We see exploration, Mox Diamond, and double life from the loan, but no interesting land for us. So just mana lands and one tabernacle. I'm taking here the exploration because I think if our opponent finds gas, the exploration will likely overcome us pretty well. So keep in mind you could also take the Mox Diamond and Daze the Life from the Loam, but I think this line sets us so much back in mana or lands because we want to apply our Murktide as soon as possible before our opponent can combo us out. And our opponent uses his Life from the Loam to get just one Tabernacle and maybe some um, dredge dredge line to fetch his lands from the graveyard, and we do a Force of Will, so we have a counter for maybe a crop rotation. We can also counter once Life from the Loam if our opponent finds any valuable lands in form of Wasteland, Urza Saga, or even the combo land. And here we are going to ponder, and we find a swords size, a barrel golf, and a land. So we can take the land and apply our Murktide Regent, but I'm really scared of maybe a crop rotation or some pace. So I'm thinking I see a lot of value in the barrel golf, because if the barrel golf connects once, we are above 20 life points, which can matter. So I'm taking here a much more safer approach in taking the sword size, because I'm thinking that even our Murktide now is not that big. So we need a faster clock, and playing the sword size is pretty much free. We can take one Life from the Loam, so our opponent is just left with the mana land, Life from the Loam, and a Tabernacle. And we have a little bit more fodder, as to speak, for the Murktide. And our opponent clones his mana land here. And here I'm thinking about forcing the known Life from the Loam. If our opponent finds anything but he passes. And here we have a nice turn to just apply our barrel golf, so our opponent has to deal with it. So maybe in form of Maze of It, or he finds some answer to it. And we will see what our opponent is doing here. And he's Boussageing on our end step on the Volcanic Island. So it's fine, we can take, just to be sure, a basic island, so that we can rely more on our mana. But I think at this stage of the game, even a wasteland will not disturb us. But our opponent respects our red core, because he is gone for the volcanic island, and he's now playing Life from the Loam. I'm going to force it here, but I think I made a mistake here because I overlooked. I thought it was the last Life from the Loam from the hand, but he dredged, so it was the second, and he gets the Saga. So a little bit of a mistake on my side, because I didn't keep really track where the Life from the Loam comes from. So it was from the dredge mechanic. And here we drew a wasteland, so we got lucky to get rid of the Urza Saga and connecting for 5 points of damage. So we stay above 20 life points, which could be really handy. And we hope to flip a Tamio, or maybe a second barrel golf would be fine. And we have the we can choose between Orcish Bowmaster and Tamio. We took the Tamio. I think it's fine. We know about the Tabernacle, but we can pay for it. And here I'm applying the Murktide Regent, not for the full strength, because I want to keep some types around. So sorcery, our opponent has enough sorceries, but is lacking of instant, so I'm keeping track that we can keep our instant and at least one sorcery. But I think it's fine as on this configuration, and with this setup we set our opponent under a big clock, and he needs to find some form of action. And he concedes. So he's not willing to play the game any further. So I think we got really lucky. Our opponent didn't do anything what's mattered. And for the sideboarding, we have a lot of bad cards. We want to get rid of the full set of daces. Fatal Push is a really dead card. I think Molten Collapse can keep we let it in because it can destroy Mox Diamond and Urza Saga token. We want the Meltdown. We want also the Nihil Spellbomb. And also Consign is a pretty good card. It can counter a Mox, it can counter an Urza Saga trigger. And I think we also get in one Barrow Golf because I think it's better than Bowmaster. So we want at least to have 2 Bowmasters to have some form of pressure. And for the second game, we are on the draw. I think the hand is decent. We have a Wasteland, we have a Molten Collapse, we have a Brainstorm, we have an Orcish Bowmaster, which will not matter much, but we have a Murktide. I think the hand is fine, especially on the strength of Wasteland. And our opponent shows a big sign of weakness. We see no Mox Diamond. We see a tapped Surveillant. And keep in mind, the lands decks are playing pretty much a lot of lands, as the name suggests, but the actual green mana sources are pretty tight. So it could be a risky line, but I'm going here for the mana source, because if he don't show us a Mox Diamond, it's pretty likely that he can't apply any green mana source to play maybe a Rumble, a Crop Rotation, or some kind of exploration. And our opponent just plays the Thespian stage, so no Mox Diamond or colored mana sources here. I think it was a good call to go after the colored mana source, and we have now the ability to apply our Tamio. And I fetched here for the basic island because I want to be sure that we can cast our Brainstorm next turn. Our opponent shows us here an Ursa Saga, which we have to deal with, but we have Molten Collapse, so I think it's pretty good from here. We can counter at least 1 token, also with the Orcish Bowmaster, the first token, and get rid of the token and the outcome with a later Molten Collapse. So I think it's not a threat on this stage of the game. And we find another Sword Size and Barrow Golf and Tamio. I think we want to keep at least 1 Sword Size to see what's is in our opponent's hand. So the second Sword Size, I think we don't need it. Same can be said for the Tamio. So we have a pretty good late game applied. We have Kaito to get rid of the Marat Large token. We have a Barrow Golf to make some pressure, and we have the uptick on our Tamio. And here I'm fetching for the Underground Sea. And I really want to cast the Sword Size to see what our opponent is cooking with. And also we can apply Murktide on our next turn. And we see our opponent bricked here, a lot of green cards. I'm going here for the Marvelous Rumble, because if our opponent finds a green mana source, it's the card which get our opponent back into the game, and our opponent agreed and concede.